Have you ever felt an unexplainable sense of dread or discomfort around someone even when they seem perfectly normal on the outside? Sometimes, what you're sensing is more than just a personality clash, it could be something darker. Evil people don't always show their true face immediately. They often hide behind charm, manipulation, or false kindness while causing chaos in the lives of others. In this article, we'll uncover the 10 clear signs that you're dealing with an evil person, including their love for control, lack of empathy, constant lying, and delight in others' suffering. These traits are not just unpleasant, they can be emotionally and mentally dangerous to be around. But don't worry, there is a cure. Recognizing these signs early on is the first step toward protecting yourself. Once you spot the warning signals, you can set boundaries, cut ties, or seek support to avoid falling into their trap. Awareness is your shield. Let's explore the truth behind the mask. There are people in this world who walk among us with a darkness in their hearts that thrives on the suffering of others. You may not see it immediately, but eventually their true nature reveals itself. These are the ones who smile at pain, who laugh when someone falls, who speak lightly about someone's heartbreak as if it's entertainment. They don't just tolerate the misery of others, they feed on it. That pleasure they take in the hurt of others is a window into something deeply troubling. You may notice it in the way they talk about people behind their backs, celebrating their failures or mocking their vulnerabilities. They never lift others up. Instead, they drag them down, often subtly and with a twisted sense of joy. If someone is struggling, they won't offer help. Instead, they'll stand by or even make it worse, all while pretending they're just watching things unfold. And when you confront them or call out their behavior, they'll deny it with charm or accuse you of being too sensitive. That is their strategy. They hide behind a mask of normalcy, sometimes even charisma, to escape accountability. But behind that mask is a heart that does not feel for others, a soul that has shut off its humanity. That's why you must trust what you see, not just what they say. It's important to know this: their joy in your pain does not reflect your weakness. It reveals their emptiness. You are not here to be their emotional victim or their entertainment. Your worth is not defined by their cold eyes or cruel laughter. You have the power to step back, to refuse to be their target, and to protect your peace. Choose your circle wisely. Not everyone around you wants to see you rise. Let me tell you something important today. Not all lies are created equal. Some people lie out of fear or shame, and with time they find their way back to truth. But then, there are those who lie for the sake of lying. They lie even when they don't need to, when the truth would be easier. These are the people you need to be careful of, because their lies are not mistakes, they are tools. You see, constant liars don't just twist facts, they twist your reality. They'll make you question what you saw, what you heard, even what you felt. They'll say one thing to you and another to someone else, and before long, you're trapped in their web of confusion. That confusion is not an accident. It's exactly what they want, because when you're confused, you're easier to control. The scary part is that these lies don't always come with loud alarms. They come wrapped in charm, delivered with a smile. You might even find yourself defending them, saying things like, "They didn't mean it," or "Maybe I misunderstood." But deep down, a part of you knows something isn't right. That inner voice is your lifeline, and it's begging you to listen. When a person chooses lies over truth again and again, they are choosing manipulation over honesty. And manipulation is not love, it's not care, and it's not a mistake. It's a decision, one that reveals more about their character than any excuse ever could, until eventually you lose sight of your own truth. But you don't have to live like that. You deserve honesty, you deserve clarity, and you deserve people who speak truth not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. There's a certain kind of person who walks through life untouched by the pain they cause. They can hurt you, betray you, and walk away without a second thought. No apology, no regret, not even a flicker of guilt in their eyes. And the most dangerous part is that they make you believe it's your fault. They can watch your heart break and feel nothing at all. That is the mark of someone with no empathy and no remorse. Empathy is what makes us human. It's what stops us from crossing lines and hurting the people we love. But when someone lacks that, when they can look at your tears and feel no discomfort, you're not dealing with a misunderstanding you win. These are people who do damage and sleep just fine at night. They don't ask if you're okay. They don't reflect. They move on like nothing happened. And if you confront them, they'll often make it worse. They might mock your emotions or turn the blame back on you. They'll say you're overreacting or too sensitive, all while knowing exactly what they did. This isn't ignorance. This is cruelty wrapped in calmness. When a person can't say sorry or even acknowledge the pain they caused, it's not just emotional immaturity. It's a deep absence of moral responsibility. You have to stop waiting for people like that to understand your hurt. You have to stop hoping they'll feel bad someday and come back to make it right. Because some people never will. And that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with who they are. Their cold heart is not your burden to carry. You deserve to be surrounded by people who feel with you, not just watch you bleed. Never beg someone to care. Have you ever felt like someone was always pulling the strings in your life, quietly steering your choices without you even realizing it? That is what a master manipulator does. They don't force you, they influence you in a way that makes you think it was your idea all along. They play with your mind, your emotions, and your kindness. And the worst part is, they often disguise it as love or concern. But real love doesn't come with control. These people will twist your words and use your past against you. They'll bring up your mistakes just to weaken your confidence. One moment they lift you up, and the next they tear you down, keeping you emotionally unbalanced. They want you to depend on them, to doubt yourself, to feel small so they can feel powerful. And all the while they'll act like they're doing it for your own good. That is not help, that is emotional control. When someone manipulates without boundaries, they slowly erase your identity. You start second-guessing your thoughts, your dreams, even your worth. You find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, staying quiet to keep the peace, and shrinking to avoid conflict. That's how manipulation works. It's not loud, it's silent, strategic, and soul damaging. It can make strong people feel helpless. But let me remind you of something powerful. You are not here to be controlled. You are not a puppet, and your voice is not a mistake. You have the right to think freely, to feel fully, and to choose your own path. Anyone who tries to dim your light to brighten theirs is not for you. Walk away from manipulation with your head high, your heart protected. You owe no one control over your mind. Sometimes the most dangerous people don't attack you directly, they isolate you quietly. They begin by planting small doubts in your mind about the people who care for you. They say things like they're jealous of you or they don't really understand you. At first, it seems like they're protecting you. But what they're really doing is pulling you away from your support system. And when you're alone, you're easier to control. These people fear the strength of your connections. They know that as long as you have people who truly love you, people who speak truth into your life, they can't fully manipulate you. So they cause conflict. They stir up drama. They create misunderstandings and make you believe others are against you, all while pretending they're the only one who truly cares. That's not love, that's a tactic. When you find yourself cutting off friends, distancing from family, or withdrawing from your community because of one person's influence, stop and ask yourself why. Ask yourself who benefits from your isolation. Real love does not isolate. Real support does not demand that you choose them over everyone else. That's a game built on fear and control. You deserve better than that. You deserve relationships that connect, not divide. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for keeping healthy bonds with people who bring light into your life. The people who truly love you will never be threatened by your other connections. They will encourage your growth, not limit it. If someone is trying to become your entire world, it's not because they love you deeply. It's because they want to own your world. And you were never meant to live in someone else's cage. Stay close to those who remind you of your strength. One of the clearest signs you're dealing with someone dangerous is when they have a history of cruelty. I'm not talking about one mistake or a bad day. I'm talking about repeated behavior that causes real harm to others. Emotional abuse, physical aggression, constant disrespect. These are not random incidents, they are patterns. And patterns tell the truth when words do not. You might hear their stories and think maybe they've changed. They'll tell you about how they were misunderstood or how someone else pushed them to act that way. But listen carefully. If they've hurt others again and again and never truly taken responsibility, it's only a matter of time before you become the next chapter in that story. You can't heal someone by becoming their next victim. You can't love the cruelty out of someone. Some people don't want to change, they want to continue with new faces and fresh chances. They move from person to person, leaving behind damage. One of the clearest signs you're dealing with someone dangerous is when they have a history of cruelty. I'm not talking about one mistake or a bad day. I'm talking about repeated behavior that causes real harm to others. Emotional abuse, physical aggression, constant disrespect. These are not random incidents, they are patterns. And patterns tell the truth when words do not. You might hear their stories and think maybe they've changed. They'll tell you about how they were misunderstood or how someone else pushed them to act that way. But listen carefully. If they've hurt others again and again and never truly taken responsibility, it's only a matter of time before you become the next chapter in that story. You can't heal someone by becoming their next victim. You can't love the cruelty out of someone. Some people don't want to change, they want to continue with new faces and fresh chances. They move from person to person, leaving behind damage. They become someone else entirely. Cold, harsh, manipulative. This contrast is not just frustrating, it's dangerous. You begin to question your own experience. How can someone so well-liked treat you so differently? You might start to think that maybe you're the problem. That maybe you're being too sensitive or imagining things. But let me tell you something that matters. You're not imagining it. What you see in private is the truth. The mask they wear in public is a performance. These people are skilled at controlling their image. They thrive on being praised, admired, and trusted, so they make sure the world sees their best version. But that version isn't real. It's carefully crafted to gain trust and disarm suspicion. And while the world sees their smile, you're left alone with their storm. That kind of emotional double life is designed to keep you silent and powerless. When no one else sees what you see, it's easy to feel trapped. Easy to feel like no one would believe you. But here's the truth, you don't need the world's permission to walk away from someone who treats you badly. You don't need applause for your pain to be valid. You only need your truth. The way someone treats you when no one is watching is who they really are. That's what you trust. Stop giving chances to the mask. Believe the version of them that only you have seen. Have you ever met someone who never takes responsibility for anything that goes wrong? No matter what happens, it's always someone else's fault. They blame the world, their past, their parents, their friends, even you, anyone but themselves. And in their story, they are always the victim, never the villain. This is not just denial. This is a pattern that protects their ego while damaging everyone around them. People like this are exhausting to be around. You could show them facts, express your feelings calmly, and try to find solutions, but nothing ever sticks. They'll twist your words, flip the script, and make you feel guilty for even bringing up the issue. Slowly, you begin to question yourself. You start apologizing just to keep the peace. And that's when you start losing your power. Accountability is the foundation of growth. We all mess up. We all have moments we regret. But if a person cannot own their mistakes, they will never grow past them. And worse, they will continue making the same mistakes again and again. Not because they don't know better, but because they've trained themselves to never admit they're wrong. That mindset doesn't just hurt them, it breaks the people close to them. You deserve to be around people who can say, I was wrong. People who reflect, who grow, and who understand that true strength is found in humility. Stop making excuses for those who refuse to change. Stop shrinking yourself just to avoid their blame. You are not responsible for carrying someone else's refusal to grow. Let them face their own mirror. You have your own journey, and it's too important to be weighed down by someone else's denial. Protect your peace from those who run from accountability. There are people who walk into your life not to connect. They may seem helpful, supportive, even protective at first, but with time you begin to notice that everything has to go their way. Every decision, every conversation, every step you take must be approved by them. And when it's not, they punish you, maybe with silence, maybe with guilt, maybe with anger. That is not love. That is control wrapped in care. They will disguise their domination as concern. I'm only doing this for you. I know what's best. They'll make you feel like without them you're lost, confused, or incapable. But listen to me. Anyone who makes you doubt your own ability to lead your life is not helping you. They are shrinking you. And they are doing it intentionally. Control doesn't always come with raised voices or locked doors. Sometimes it shows up in soft words, subtle suggestions, and constant correction. They may not yell, but they make sure you always feel wrong. They may not push, but they make sure you're always walking their path. It's slow, it's quiet, and it's dangerous. Because before you know it, you've stopped thinking for yourself. Your voice matters. Your choices matter. You are capable of deciding what's best for your life. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. Healthy people empower you. They walk beside you, not ahead of you pulling the strings. Real love lets you breathe, speak, and grow. It celebrates your independence, it doesn't fear it. If someone needs to control you to feel secure, they are not offering love, they are offering imprisonment. Some people don't want peace, they want drama. They live off conflict, feed on chaos, and seem most alive when everything around them is falling apart. If things are calm, they'll stir something up. If people are getting along, they'll whisper just enough to plant doubt. These are not people caught in drama, they are the ones creating it. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself constantly caught in the storm they build. They'll pit people against each other, spread rumors, twist words, and then step back like they had nothing to do with it. They enjoy the reaction. They enjoy the confusion. And they especially enjoy being the center of attention while everyone else fights. But their chaos is not just emotional, it drains your time, your energy, and your joy. You spend so much of your life managing their drama that you forget what peace feels like. It's hard to see clearly when you're constantly cleaning up someone else's mess. You begin to think this is just how life is, full of conflict, tension, and emotional exhaustion. But let me remind you, peace is not boring. Stability is not a weakness. Calm is not something to be ashamed of. Healthy relationships do not come with constant stress. They come with mutual respect, honesty, and emotional safety. You don't have to live in a state of constant emotional warfare. You don't have to prove your worth by surviving someone else's chaos. Walk away from those who only feel powerful when others feel powerless. Your life is not a battlefield for someone else's entertainment. You are allowed to protect your space, your energy, and your heart from people who thrive in conflict. Peace is not a privilege, it is your right. So now you know the signs. The lies, the manipulation, the lack of empathy, the constant blame, the hidden cruelty behind closed doors, these are not just bad habits. These are red flags waving clearly in front of you. When someone finds joy in your pain, isolates you from love, refuses to grow, or drags you into chaos, they are not just difficult people. They are dangerous to your peace, your purpose, and your spirit. You are not overreacting. You are not imagining it.